Hey folks, welcome back. So I've been away for a little while. There's various reasons for that, but one of them is that I've got myself some new lighting in here. So hopefully you'll be able to see the puzzles I'm showing you actually a little bit better. The colors will pop a bit more and the edges will be a bit sharper on your screens, so I hope that works out. Let me know in the comments what you think of the new setup. It's nothing fancy, nothing high-end, but it does a much better job than the in-room lighting I had before, so hopefully it'll be nicer for you to watch as well. The other thing I've been thinking about while I've been away is just what to do with the channel, basically. And I think part of that was a little bit of self-doubt introduced by seeing some other channels focusing on twisty puzzles and realizing that my limited collection and budget really doesn't make me competitive with some of the other really interesting channels out there, like Super Antonio Vivaldi or Michelle Regano, who shows off insane amounts of 3D printed puzzles all the time. That's just way beyond my means, frankly. So I was thinking about what to do with the channel, and I think basically I'm just going to stick with my initial approach in the very beginning, which is just to talk about puzzles that interest me and show off things that I like solving, essentially. And hopefully that'll be interesting for some of you, particularly those of you who are like me, maybe don't have a big budget for, one-off hand mods or 3D printed puzzles and just want to get mass-produced stuff that is decent and interesting and fun to play with. So I'll try and highlight those things for you. I'm also going to do some more solve videos, and I'm going to start today, in fact. So a while back, I did an unboxing video for a big order I did from Z-Cube, and one of the puzzles that came in was this FanXin 3x3x4, which you can see here. I really love this puzzle. I'm a big fan of cuboids since I got into them fairly recently. And 3x3x4 is a really fun solve and very much enjoyable. And I find myself picking up this puzzle quite a bit. So I thought I'd do a little review, just show you how it works. And then I'll do a bit of a mini tutorial, not super comprehensive. But in order to do that, I'll need to show you how to solve the 3x3x2. So this will be kind of a combo video. A bit of a review, then a 3x3x2 example solve, and then a 3x3x4 example solve. I've tried to keep the method really simple. It's definitely not the most efficient. You could use a lot more algorithms or optimizations, but I'm not really about that for solving cuboids. I just find them interesting to use my intuition and try and understand how they work because they are very wacky looking things. So hopefully that'll be fun and interesting for you guys. If you like that sort of stuff, then I'm going to come back with some more videos like that. I actually have a large collection of puzzle solutions that, as I've gone through my collection and solved things, I've made diagrams and PowerPoint slides and all kinds of stuff because I tend to forget how I solve things. So what I'm thinking to do is actually to take some of those solutions and start putting out videos based on those so that, first of all, I won't forget how to solve everything, but also it might be useful for others of you who have the same puzzles. So I'll start to do more solve videos and walk through solves and stuff like that. So without further ado, I'll show you a little bit the puzzle itself. So this is a stickerless 3x3x4, as you can see. It's very, very cheap. I got it from Z-Cube for just a couple of dollars, as I recall. Very, very inexpensive. A lot of the big cubing stores are carrying these now as well, like the Cubicle or Speed Cube Shop or all that kind of places. Very, very much worth the price. You can see the movement is excellent. I mean, just with the lightest touch of a finger, I can get turns going. It's quite loud and clacky, and the plastic doesn't feel premium or anything like that, but it's very solidly built. I haven't had any pops or any issues like that, nothing falling out of place. So it's just a really nicely made functional puzzle. I think the main objection that people might have is the color scheme. So, I'm a big fan of stickerless puzzles actually because I have terrible luck with stickers. So I don't mind that, although some of you will mind that. In that case, if you want a sticker 3x3x4, you can get one from Whit Eden. They have many variations as well with, super circles like the crazy 3x3s and stuff. But if you just want a straight up stickerless 3x3x4, I believe this is your only option at present. You'll notice that it has all the normal colors except red has become pink. I don't really mind, it doesn't make it look a bit more toyetic, I suppose, but, let's be serious. These are toys, these are not objects of serious contemplation for a lot of people, but we choose to investigate them in depth and have fun with them. So, we feel like they should be treated perhaps a little bit more seriously. If that's your feeling, that's not, if you don't want a kind of toyetic atmosphere from your puzzles, then maybe this isn't the one for you. However, to be honest, on balance, I think that the quality of the movement is just so much better than the Whit Edens. that I think it's worth it. And, you know, I don't really mind the pink. It's in the same place that red would be. So I don't have to change, you know, my recognition of the colors. I don't have to rethink my solving or anything like that. So it's just as convenient as ever. It's just they've swapped out one color for pink. I don't know particularly why. Maybe it focus group tested better. I don't know. But anyway, that's what you get with this puzzle. But really not much more to say, except if you want to get a 3x3x4 cuboid, you should definitely get this one. I think it's, you know, it's a clear choice. It's much cheaper than the Whit Eden. I think my Whit Eden 3x3x4 cost me about $13, $14. This is just a fraction of that cost, and the quality is just better. And really, puzzles are for solving, you know, and the solving experience with this is just straight up much better than the Whit Eden. So I would highly recommend it. And in fact, I hope that they will expand on this line. So FanXin has also 2x2x3s and 3x3x2s. But I don't know that they're planning to do any more 3x3x-Ns. I very much wish they would, because this is just really, really top-notch. In fact, I'm kind of tempted to magnetize it. I don't know if it's kind of made for that. I haven't tried taking the pieces apart, but you know, as a speed cuber as well as a twisty puzzler, I'm very much accustomed to having really nice quality cubic puzzles that turn unbelievably smoothly and have magnets so that you don't overturn, and everything snaps nicely into place. And I feel like that would be a great addition to this puzzle. You can see that, you know, because it's so light and fast, if you give the turns a little bit more force, they do pretty much just kind of fly around a little bit. But, you know, if you're not trying to get a great solving time, you're not worried about that kind of stuff, then I don't think it's a big deal at all. And it's just kind of up to your personal taste. But I could see this being very much speed cubable. And by the way, there are algorithm sets for this puzzle for the last layer. I'm actually going to link those in the description. There's a site called cuberoot.me, and they have a page of last layer algorithms for the 3x3x2 and a set of generic algorithms that will work on any 3x3x-N last layer. So very, very convenient. If you want to learn all of them, there's about 40 odd algorithms, maybe I think low to mid 40s in terms of the number, so not too bad. You know, about what you would learn as a kind of intermediate solver of CFOP on 3x3. But it is a decent time investment to learn that many algorithms, so keep that in mind. But it's nice that there's an option for that, you know, that enough people speed solve this thing that they find it worthwhile to do that, I think is pretty cool. So I'm just scrambling it up here because next what I'm going to do is a little bit of a walkthrough solve for you, as I mentioned. But yeah, that's how it looks when it's all scrambled up. It does have a very kind of bright candy color vibe to it. You know, whether you like that, I couldn't say. But again, I don't think it really detracts from the experience. As a frequent solver of this puzzle since I got it, I really stopped noticing the pink and the vibrancy of it pretty quickly. It doesn't bother me. So yeah, if you do get it a try, then let us know how you think of it in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. And again, I do hope they will expand the line. I like higher order puzzles in general, so having this in a 3x3x6, if they don't want to deal with shape shifting and 3x3x5 or 7, that would be pretty cool too. I'd be pretty happy with that. But we'll see what FanXin does. I mean, they've done some much more unusual stuff than that. They've got, you know, 4x4 Fisher cubes and things like that. So, you know, I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility that they might go for a higher order 3x3x-N, but we'll have to see. Have to see what develops. Okay, so that's it. To cut a long story short, just buy it. It's a good puzzle. Okay, so from here, we're going to pause for a moment, and we're going to take a step backwards before I show you the walkthrough solve of this guy. If you're not used to these kind of puzzles or haven't solved them before, you need to know how to solve a 3x3x2 first. This is the Chi 3x3x2 domino. I covered this in my Cheap and Cheerful series at some point. A really nice little puzzle. One thing to bear in mind about this, though, I didn't know this when I first got it, but you know, these kinds of 3x3x-N puzzles, on this short side, you should only be able to turn 180 degrees and not make any subsequent turns here. But actually, this puzzle can make an illegal turn. If you turn the M slice like that, you can actually carry on like this. You can't make any turns like that, but you can actually swap pieces around in a way that you shouldn't really be able to do. So that's just something to be aware of. I think that only really matters if you're going to be using this for, non-WCA unofficial speed solving. There might be some interesting cheats that you can do with that. I'm not really convinced it would be that useful, primarily because you need to be quite precise. As you could see, if you're not kind of properly aligned, that illegal turn doesn't go. So I think the time you would lose by setting up that illegal turn might well squelch any benefits you would get from actually using it. But, what do I know? I'm not speed solving this thing, so I could be wrong. But yeah, just one thing to keep in mind. I think the same might be true of the FanXin 3x3x2, or at least I've seen that on one of the speed solving forums, I believe. So just be aware of that. Try to avoid the temptation to use those turns if you can. I will not be using those. I'm just going to show you the standard way of solving this. Okay, so with the 3x3x2, if we look at it, we can kind of conceptualize what we need to do, right? It's a 3x3x3 with no middle layer. That's one way to think about it, okay? So what does that mean for our solving? Well, we still need to do a lot of 3x3 stuff. So we want to form our white cross on the bottom, finish off the bottom layer, and then handle the top layer. But we don't need to worry about the middle layer. However, the absence of the middle layer means that we don't have centerpieces along these sides to tell us the color scheme. So we just need to make sure that when we place our edges on the bottom, that we remember what the color scheme is supposed to be. Now, the Chi has a standard color scheme. So I have white opposite yellow, and then if you have the white on your left, the color scheme will go orange, blue, red, and green. So if you just hold the puzzle in that orientation and think about that color order, you'll be just fine. So we'll start by forming the cross. Let's see, what do we got? We got orange here, so we'll put orange in first, like that. And next to orange, we need to have blue, but we have red, so we'll just swap that out. Now I've got orange, blue, and then red can go over here. And finally, green. So I'm just doing a obvious insert moves there to bring those edges into place. Now we're going to place the corners. So I'm basically doing a simple layer by layer solve for this. I thought that'd be easiest for you guys to get started with. So there's a simple maneuver to get corners from the top into the bottom. So all we need to do is an R2U, R2U prime, and R2. And that places the corner where it needs to be. So you just put the corner above the slot where it needs to go and do that algorithm, and it's easy. So R2U, R2U prime, R2. And I believe that's our bottom layer done. Yes, it is. So now on the top, first thing we want to do is check if we have headlights, as they're called. So that's two corners that are in the correct place. Okay, so again, if we think about the way these cubes work, since we're only doing 180-degree turns in this axis, right? These yellow and white pieces can only mix with each other, okay? We're not going to have white pieces ending up over here or yellow pieces over here or anything like that. So that means we actually get to skip part of the standard 3x3 solve because the corners will not be misoriented. They're not going to be pointing the wrong direction. The yellow and the white parts of these pieces will always be pointing in the correct direction. So after we do the bottom layer, we just go directly to permuting the corners, getting the corners in the right place. And then after that, we'll permute the edges, and then we're done. So in this case, we have two corners that are in the correct place and two that need to be swapped. So we have a simple algorithm for that. We just put the headlights on the left-hand side, and then we do R2U, R2U prime, R2U prime, D, R2U prime, R2U, and R. And now you can see what we've done. So we've actually got all the corners correctly permuted. And actually in doing that, we've managed to get two of the edges in place as well. So easy enough. And now there's a simple algorithm we can use to just swap two edges across the top of the cube. Note this is the kind of position that you wouldn't get on a 3x3. So there are some interesting new variations to discover when you go from a 3x3 to a 3x3x2. So the algorithm to do this swap, it's very, very simple. We just do R2U2, R2U2, R2. And that's it, we're done. Now there's a couple more cases for dealing with the last layer, but they're very, very simple. And since we're doing this times 2 in the 3x3x4, I'll save those for that case. So basically, now that we know the 3x3x2, we do a simple bottom layer solve, then we permute the corners, and then we permute the edges. We can do the same to solve the 3x3x4. The difference is that we're going to solve it twice. Okay, so we've got 4 layers, but functionally it works very similar, right? These long edges, long faces, can only go 180 degrees. If we go like this, we're not going anywhere, right? So functionally it works much the same as this guy, but we've got 2 layers in the middle. So how do we deal with that? Well, what we're going to do is treat these middle 2 layers as a 3x3x2. Solve that first, and then solve the top and bottom outer layers as the second 3x3x2, whilst taking care not to disrupt the layers in the middle that we have already solved. At the end, we may have a parity to deal with, but it's very simple to resolve. There's just one simple algorithm to deal with that. So how do we do this? Well, first we need to figure out which layer we want to be the bottom. In this case, we'll use the white layer as the bottom. I'm not going to do anything in particular to the bottom and the top right now. I'm going to save that for the end after I've done the inner 3x3x2. But this just helps us get oriented. So again, if white is on the bottom, and we hold that to the left, then our color scheme should go orange, blue, red, and green. So if we think about this as a 3x3x2, that means we want those colors going around the cube on this layer on the bottom here. So let's see what we've got. We can just, so we've got an orange there already, so we need a blue there. So we can bring this blue up, rotate it in. Then we want red here, which is now pink, but that's fine. And then a green is already there. So we've got the edges in place on our bottom layer of our notional 3x3x2. We have 1 corner already in and 3 corners that are out. So we're going to use the same corner insertion algorithm to put our corners in place on this layer here. One thing to keep in mind is that because we don't have the information given to us by the top and bottom of the corners, we will have pairs of corners that look identical, but they won't be. So the way to know if you have the right one, so here we have an orange and a blue slot, right? And this piece looks like it could go there, but it won't. See, if we do the corner insertion, it's facing the wrong way around. So what we actually need is a corner where the colors are obviously matching up, but they're going in the opposite order. So let's see what we got here. So this is the right corner. See, they look identical, but we need the blue and the orange to be swapped over relative to the edge pieces on the bottom. And now if we put this one in, bam, there we go. So that's just a simple rule of thumb to help you get the right piece in the right place. And here, for example, we know this is the right one because we've got blue and pink, and it's pink and blue going the other direction here. So we'll put that one in. There we go, 1 piece left to go. And this is the correct corner. Again, don't be fooled by this guy. And there we go, the bottom layer of our inner 3x3x2. Now we do the same techniques again to permute our corners and edges. So on the top layer, we have headlights in pink. Put those on the left. These 2 guys need to swap. So we can do the same algorithm again, but just making sure that we turn these 2 layers to make the algorithm work for this inner 3x3x2. So same algorithm as before, R2U, R2U prime, R2U prime D, R2U prime, RU, and R. There we go. So now all of our corners are in place, looking good. And now we just need to permute our corners, edges, sorry. So let's see what we got. We need the blue to go here, we need the green to go here, and the pink to go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use there's 2 algorithms basically that with just those 2 you can solve any last layer position that you need to worry about. So the first one I've showed you already, which is to swap the 2 pieces across. So we'll do that one again. R2U2, R2U2, R2U2. And now you can see that we've solved that side because we brought the green over to that side. And now we've got 3 pieces that are out. Rather than teach you another algorithm to do a 3 cycle, there are several of those, of course. I'm just going to recommend as a beginner method, just mix and match that swapping across algorithm with one to swap 2 adjacent pieces, which I'm going to show you here in a second. So if I want to swap this pink into place over here and bring the orange over here, I can do it like this. We can go R2U, R2U, R2U2, R2U2, R2U, R2U prime, R2. Okay, so now you can see we put the pink into the right place and the orange has come over here. Now we can do that same algorithm a second time to finally solve our inner 3x3x2. R2U, R2U, R2U2, R2U2, R2U, 2U prime, R2, and there's the inner 3x3x2 all done. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing again, but with the bottom and the top layer as our 3x3x2, okay? So we've kept our puzzle in the same orientation throughout, and that means we'll need to solve our white cross on the bottom. Now, one thing to keep in mind with this stage of the solve is that we want to just always use the same face to do our R2s, okay? Because things will get out of phase. We'll have it looking like this while we're solving these bits and stuff like that. That's okay. It'll come back. If it doesn't come back, we'll do parity. What we don't want is to have this out of phase and then start mixing up that inner 3x3x2. So let's just avoid that by keeping this puzzle always in the same orientation. We won't rotate it, okay? We'll rotate the layers, that's fine, but the middle two layers are locked in place. That way we won't unsolve what we've already solved. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's see what we got here. So blue and red are in the right place. So we need to get green there. So we'll swap out this orange. And so we got, there we go. Bring the orange in here. And so we've got the edge pieces in the right places, as you can see. Now we just need to start placing the corners in. So this is a red and green corner. Now we don't need to worry about there being any duplicates, obviously, so we can just, if we see a corner, just solve it. R2U, 2U prime, R2. See, we're out of phase here, but again, that's just fine. Now we've got blue and orange, which needs to go here. 2U, 2U prime, R2. And that is in. Now notice we don't have any white corners up top, so that means these two need to be swapped. So we'll bring one out by doing the algorithm again, and we'll bring that over to here and put that in place, and that will bring out our other culprit here. And there we go. All set. So the bottom layer is done. Again, these edges here are flipped, but don't worry about it yet. Now on the top, we once again have headlights, this time green. So we need to swap these two guys here, which we'll do using our standard method from before. R2U, R2U prime, R2U prime, D, R2U prime, R2U, R2. There we go. So now all of our corners on the last layer are in place. And we just need to do a couple of swaps here. So these two, we've got blue and green in the opposite position, so we can solve those immediately. R2U2, R2U2, R2. And now again, we can just swap these two edges over. R2U2, R2U2, R2. And there we go, we're solved. Oh, wait. Oh, no. So this is Parity. It's very, very simple to deal with, and actually this algorithm gets used on many of the cuboids, so it's a very useful one to know, and it's really, really simple once you get the hang of it. You can use it in some rather tricky ways on some of the other puzzles like the 4x4x and so forth, but we'll get to that. I do plan to do videos on most of the cuboids I have, just to show off some of these techniques that differ between the different sizes and shapes of puzzles. So here we're just going to do a simple algorithm. All we need to do is have the two edges that are flipped being on the front left and front right of the puzzle, and we hold it like this vertically, and then we just do a relatively simple algorithm to swap those edges over without unsolving anything else. So first we're going to do a U2, but with the top two layers together like that. Then we'll do an R2, then an F2, then U2 with the top two layers again, then a U2 with the top layer only. Then we're going to do what are we doing? F2, and then an R2, and then U2 with the top two layers, and we're solved. There we go. I almost forgot what I was doing there for a second. The perils of solving on camera. But yeah, that's a sample solve of the 3x3x4. If you just go back and take note of the algorithms I used, I think in that solve we've encapsulated all the algorithms you'd need to attack any situation on the puzzle. So it should be straightforward for you to give it a try for yourself. If you do want to get more sophisticated with it, go to that cuberoot.me link I have in the description. You can learn some more algorithms for different situations on the last layer if you want to speed things up a bit or challenge yourself to get a good solving time. It's always a fun thing to do. And there are two sets of algorithms, one for the 3x3x2 specifically, which I think is more optimized, and then a generic set that'll work on any 3x3x n. So do check those out. So that's it for today. I hope that was fun to see this puzzle in action. And for those of you who are new to the 3x3x ns, maybe this is a nice first step for you. Grab yourself this very nice and cheap and well-functioning puzzle. Get yourself a nice, cheap and cheerful Chi domino as well. And get started on cuboids. I'm sure you'll have a good time. So next up, I think I'm going to show you the 3x3x5 and maybe 3x3x7. We'll see how we go with it. But yeah, it's a really fun series of puzzles. I love all the 3x3x ns so far. I'm looking to get the 3x3x9, 10, and 11, which are kind of a little bit cubic shaped and have very flat pieces. Those are from Wood Eden as well. If I do get those, I will of course show them off to you. But in the meantime, I'm going to cover all the cuboids in this series. So hopefully that'll give you some more puzzle solving tools to attack these and other related puzzles. So until then, I hope you enjoyed the video and the new lighting. Let me know what you think in the comments as always. And I hope you're staying happy and healthy and well. So I shall see you again in the next video. All right, take care.